Why is this Jurassic World Evolution 2 video starting with Planet Zoo footage? Well, because this Planet Zoo build for the kiwi inspired my Dimetrodon habitat build. After watching some reaction videos to Planet Zoo's latest and probably last DLC, YouTube recommended me a lot of Planet Zoo videos, and this one by AdamUp caught my eye. I see the world through Jurassic World Evolution 2 lenses, so I instantly had an idea for a habitat build. Obviously, Jurassic World Evolution 2 doesn't have the creative tools to recreate a Planet Zoo build, but just because you can't literally copy something doesn't mean you can't get ideas from it. It's the difference between inspiration and replication. So I can't copy this, but what caught my eye about this build? Well, it has two semicircular perimeter walls characterized by these vertical striations with foliage peeking through. There's an opening in the middle connecting the two halves. One is all land and the other is almost all water. There's viewing from the path on either side with rock formations and some foliage in the middle here to break it up, as well as some cutouts in the path for plants. Let's see how I translated this kiwi habitat into a Dimetrodon habitat. We're starting the build with the two semicircular walls, and I just eyeballed the size to get them to match. I didn't want to go through the trouble of making them match exactly. The opening between the two semicircles needs to be big enough that I can fit some rocks and foliage in there while still having enough space for the animals to go back and forth. Rather than leave it at a single wall, I doubled up, making it a little deeper than one minimum fence length, because we're going to be putting something in the space between the walls, but that comes later. The two fronts of these semicircles are first lined with path to get a straight line, and then I created a perimeter with the Malta wall pieces and the Jurassic Park lights. I think these low walls look realistic enough in combination with the Dimetrodon, but let's also pretend that there is actual invisible fencing as well. Now comes the most tedious part of the build, and that is lining the inside of the semicircles with the biosyn lights. This creates that verticality in the wall that AdamUp created with the vertical rocks. Yes, it's very different, but again, inspiration, not replication. By the way, I linked AdamUp's original video below for you to check out his channel, because I hope this video will show you that you can find ideas for awesome Jurassic World Evolution 2 builds, even in Planet Zoo videos. But there's another takeaway I hope you'll have, and an important message as well. I'll talk about that later. After finally lining the entire inside walls with the biosyn lights, next up I added rocks and plants to the opening between the two semicircles to make the passage from one half of the habitat to the other look more natural. And although the original kiwi habitat only broke up one front-facing wall with a rock formation, I did this on both sides because I really like the look of it. I just delete a bit of the wall and combine some rocks and plants. RIP to the people who don't like mixing plants from different biomes. I do that all the time. I am truly John Hammond. I just pick the plants because I think they look good. Now it's time to use my favorite plant in the game, the fluffy bush. We're going to be placing these inside the walls as close to one side as possible, so the branches clip through the concrete and peek out between the biosyn lights. This gives it a more natural look, makes it look like vines are growing against the wall and the iron lights. I don't want the bushes to peek through on the guest side of the fence, which is why I spaced the walls a little further apart than one minimum fence length, just to make sure the bushes wouldn't clip through on the other side as well. After that, it's really just about creating a natural looking interior for the habitat. Again, taking inspiration from the kiwi habitat by AdamUp, I made one half dry land and the other half almost entirely water. Wanting to mimic that also determined the species I would pick. I went with Dimetrodon because they actually like water and spend a lot of time in water. Of course, with some tweaks, you can make this habitat design work for any species. Get rid of most of the water and then it's suitable for any small species. Size it up and replace the low walls with wire fencing, and then you can put any large species in there as well. Something that I think helped the water look a lot better was creating some sandbanks and shallow areas within, so there's a little more variation to it than just a big puddle of the same depth, and you achieve this just by playing around with deleting and replacing the water to create these areas. As always with my habitat speed builds, I also built the surrounding guest area to show you an example of how you can integrate the habitat in the rest of your park. This one is quite simple. I've definitely done more complex guest areas in combination with past habitat speed builds. There's a full playlist of those speed builds on the channel, and technically you could build a whole park out of these speed builds by just puzzling them together. And there you have it, a kiwi habitat from Planet Zoo turned into a Dimetrodon habitat in Jurassic World Evolution 2. What I want you to take away from this is that you can find inspiration anywhere. Real life, concept art, other games, and modded Jurassic World Evolution 2 videos, even when you yourself don't use mods. This build right here uses no mods at all. This is all vanilla gameplay. But this is the last unmodded habitat build for Jurassic World Evolution 2 on my channel. And I'm also working on a tour for the last unmodded full park. Because after the 3-year anniversary of the game coming up on November 9th, I will start to use mods. I know a lot of people play this game on console and they can't mod, or they play on PC and they don't want to mod, and I'm really happy that I've been able to share my unmodded builds with you guys for 3 years, but it's time for the channel to evolve. However, what I hope you learned is that even when you can't copy something, you can still get ideas from it and be inspired to build. So I hope you'll stick with the channel and check out the modded builds we'll be doing. Of course, once Jurassic World Evolution 3 comes, I will play that game without mods, just like what I did with Jurassic World Evolution 2 and Jurassic World Evolution 1 before it. And as soon as we have more news on the new game, you know I'll be right on it, sharing it with you all. So if you're excited about the modded builds and Jurassic World Evolution 3 in the future, hit the subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. For more unmodded builds and tips, check out what we've been doing on the channel for the past 3 years. It's been a lot. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and until next time, enjoy the game.